These two plates are not the same. They look identical, they're both class 6, but one stops you getting 4-shot by M62 and the other doesn't. Today I will be explaining the whys and hows of armor plate durability and which are better than the others, and I haven't done a video on their actual protection specifically in the past because previously it just didn't matter. Armor plates used to be so small that they hardly ever got hit, never mind damaged, which meant that the durability of these plates didn't matter at all. We used to just pick the lightest version and basically go with that. Now, however, after the reworked hitboxes, it's much more difficult to hit the thorax without going through the plate first, which means that the actual protection that these plates give you matters for the first time since patch 14. Let's just quickly whip through the basics. You can buy any front and back plates up to class 4 on the flea market after reaching level 15, which means that class 3 plates are borderline useless outside of the very early stages of a wipe or when you're just starting a new character. Only use these if you have no other choice. Of the early plates, the monoclete class 4s are typically the best. These are the lightest by a wide margin compared to the other decent plates in the same class, but despite this they are the third best for durability and only 10% less than the two at the top. As these are sappy style plates, they fit into the widest range of plate carriers outside of the specific ones that require bespoke plates like the 6B13 or the press, and even that one can take one at the back. One thing to bear in mind now is that armors come with a specific set of plates by default. Every armor in the game comes with a set loadout of plates that will always be the same when you find them either out in the raid or on the traders. For the monoclete plates, these are found in the Highcom Trooper, the MMAC and the Banshee. Given you can buy and sell these carriers freely on the flea as well now, you often find monoclete plates cheaper than the plates themselves by searching through the MMAC or the Banshees until you find one being sold with the plates inside. The Trooper has a barter for the Slick carrier, which makes it unlikely that these will be sold cheaply. Once we step past class 4, this is where it becomes a lot more restrictive. The exception here is for side plates, where you can still buy and sell class 5 and 6 plates from the flea market. This is more or less balanced because side plates don't protect the thorax hitbox, so they're just a little bit of extra protection for your stomach. This can be important, but it isn't life and death in most fights. There are only 4 side plates in the game, 1 class 5 and 1 class 6 for Western style armors, and 1 class 5 and 1 class 6 for the Eastern style armors. The Western type can be found on Peacekeeper 3, which is the SSAPI 3+ at class 5, and Peacekeeper 4 for the SP4s, which are class 6. The Eastern style armors are on Prapor 4, which is the Karun side plate at class 5, and at Ragman 4 for the Granite Ballistic class 6 plate. What's slightly confusing about all of this is there is some overlap between the different types of side plate. Many armors can take either the Western style or the Granite 4 class 6, but only the Karund and the Bagari can use the Karund side plate. However, the Gen 4 series of Western armors, for example, can't take the Granite side plates. If you're ever unsure about this, you can either link search the plates themselves to see which armors they go into, or link search the armor itself to see which plates are compatible with it. So with all that, let's take a look at our class 5 and 6 front and back plates, which is where the focus should be in terms of protection. Remember now that because of the plate rework, the front plate is much more important than the back plate, so this is usually where we can save a little bit of weight if necessary. The most popular plate in class 5 by far is the GAC 3S15M. Looking through the list, you can see that this is significantly lighter than all of the other plates in this category, and is in fact lighter than every single class 4 plate as well. With its good stats, what makes this so popular is that you can craft them with plate alchemy, so to speak, in the lavatory, either using the TacTech or the AACPC craft, which take in a single GAC plate and spit out 2 at the other end as part of the armor. To do this, you need to complete either Sew It Good Part 4 for the TacTech one, or Living High is Not a Crime Part 2 for the AACPC version, and you will also need to have one of the GAC plates to get started. This is a bit of a chicken and egg problem where if you don't have a plate you can't make any more, so getting the very first GAC plate is very important. The armors that contain the GAC plate by default are obviously the AACPC and the TacTech themselves, but also the SNS Precision, which is worn by the Goon Boss Big Pipe, and the Hexattack HPC. This means that the guaranteed way to get one of these GAC plates is at Ragman level 4 at level 42 and doing the Hexattack HPC barter, but most people want to start crafting these plates before then. With the addition of Ref, a new option has opened up at level 3 Ref, which allows you to barter 22 GP coins for an AACPC, which comes with the GAC 3S15M plates that you need. Outside of this, you can kill a player to get one from their armor, run the scav case in the hideout for Moonshine, which can give any of those 4 armors as well, visit the Kibba store on Interchange that now stocks plates all the way up to class 6, or failing everything else, just asking somebody who has one to drop it for you in raid. In terms of the plates themselves, there are 5 things that we really care about: the class of the armor, the durability, the weight, the availability, and the repairability. The class of the plate is the most important, as this primarily dictates how well it will protect you from being shot at. 99% of the time, Class 6 is a direct upgrade from Class 5 in terms of protection. After this, within a particular class, it's important to compare the durability between them. Those of you who have been following my videos for a while will understand that the effective durability of an armor is not necessarily what it says in-game, because you have to cross-reference this with the material of the armor itself. This system is the same for plates as it used to be in the old armor system. Each plate has a material, and each material has a destructibility factor that modifies the in-game durability, and this gets you to what we call the effective durability that allows you to compare between the armors. Given that the GAC plates are so close on effective durability to the others while being significantly lighter with lower debuffs, this means that it is pretty much the obvious choice for Class 5, much like the monoclete plate is at Class 4. This of course assumes that you can make them in the hideout. If you can't, the lowest level option for Class 5 plates is the Karund VM front plate barter of Prapor 3 after completing his quest Reconnaissance on Lighthouse. You can then buy a Karund or a Bagari armor from the flea market and put the plate inside. The Bagari is preferable to the Karund because of its Class 3 soft armor underneath rather than the Karund's Class 2, but do bear in mind that this option is pretty heavy regardless of which one you choose. Once you have higher level traders, if you barter for the Osprey or the Defender, you might end up with a large quantity of Tallcom Guardians and Granite BR4s that you don't necessarily want to use. Before I had enough GAC and Class 6 plates to stop using other Class 5s, I used to recycle these heavy plates one at a time through the Thor Concealable and the ANA M2 armors. These both have Class 3 soft armor and are very, very light, which often allowed me to stay underweight despite the plates being up to 3.5 kilos. Once you've got enough GACs though, there's not much need to use them anymore, and you may as well just sell them to Ragman to save space in your inventory. So on to Class 6. This section is a little bit less obvious, partly because of the availability of them, but also because the weights make the choice less easy. Until fairly recently, these plates were very restricted, with few of them being available and normally having to do an armor barter where the plates were contained inside. One of the newest additions has become the most available plate, which is the Cult Termite, because this one can be bartered for a SAS drive at Ragman 4. Although this is very heavy, it's slightly unfortunate that the most available Class 6 plate also turns out to be one of the best. With the difference in effective durability between the Termite and the best-in-class Nesco being very minor, the performance difference here is basically negligible. With no quest locking the barter either, this makes the Termite straightforward to run basically every raid once you reach Ragman 4, because you can purchase 2 per reset, and I tend to use them in the front plate slot because it's so much more important than the back plate. I continue to use the GAC plate in the back purely for weight considerations, but that's up to personal preference, your strength level, and your typical loadout weight as well. Technically speaking, I think that the best plates in Class 6 are probably the Kiteco SC4 and the GAC 4SSS, because they only lose a little bit of effective durability but shave off a bunch of weight and some debuffs too. Their polymer material makes them fantastic to repair as well, but we hardly ever see these because they are super rare. Other than the Termite, there are no other front plates for Class 6 that can be bartered directly, so we have to move our attention over to the actual armors themselves that use these plates. On that basis, this explains why the GAC 4SSS is almost impossible to get a hold of, because there are no barters for the only armor that comes with them by default, which is the Hex Grid. Until recently, this was the same for the Kiteco SC4 as well, although again, with the introduction of Ref, at level 4 you can now barter GP coins for a Juk Digital, which is the new name for the Juk 6 since the armor plate change came in. Because of the configuration of the Juk, you only get one of these plates in the back. The front has the Granite 4RS instead, which is one of the worst plates in Class 6 due to its ceramic material type and moderate weight. The Granite BR5, Nesco and Kibber Arms Steel can be gotten from the Zabralo, the Thor Integrated and the Slick barters respectively, but the first two require the quest Booze completed after Longline, and the Slick barter is super expensive for what you get. The most bang for buck Class 6 barter is the one from Longline itself, the Tasmanian Tiger SK rig, which provides 2 ESAPI 4 plates for under 200,000 rubles, and the carrier can be sold back to Ragman afterwards for nearly 80k, making it incredibly cheap. This is balanced out by it not being a fantastic plate though, as it has one of the lowest effective durabilities across all the Class 6 front plates, and being ceramic, it repairs badly as well once damaged. But the real question here, does it matter practically in a fight which you are wearing? Jumping back to the question that started off the whole video, I ran the stats on M62 and SIG Hybrid, the two most common ammunition types to face off against at the moment, and recorded the shots to kill through Thorax Class 6 with Class 3 soft armor behind. As usual, this was using the website Tarkov Gunsmith, and as the effective durability scales down, you can broadly expect the shots to kill to decrease as well, although there are some small quirks about blunt damage pass-through that make the relationship not 100% perfect. For M6-2, there's a big jump up between the Kiteco 4 and the rest at the 4 shots mark, with the termite taking a full extra shot to kill versus those lower down. This is similar for hybrid as well, except a little more graduated due to the lower armor damage present on this bullet, which makes the top and bottom half of the plates blend more smoothly in performance. Finally, a round like M855A1, which takes a long time to whittle down Class 6, can cause a 2-shot difference between a plate like the Kibber Arms Steel at 5 hits versus 7 for the termite. So in summary, the Class 4 Monoclete, the Class 5 GAC 3S15M, and the Class 6 Cult Termite are the go-tos in each category for me. I'm hoping that we get a balanced pass on the availability of the best Class 6, as although I don't mind some being available on the traders, in my opinion it shouldn't be the best of the best. Adding the plates to Kibber was a great start, but with the best plates being available on the traders, max trader players have little incentive to visit the raid when the best of the best is available risk-free in the stash. So next up, go and check out my video on the new plate system itself and which armors are now the best in Tarkov. Otherwise, as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.